fair reaction. I was actually talking to my fiance about it last night, and yeah, I mean, she's more on the like, I'm not so sure side.
Yeah, I
Eh.
mean the way that you see, like, I mean the pigs were perfectly normal. They were perfectly
Hmm.
fine. I mean how small the device is,
Hmm.
it's it's honestly crazy to think that this stuff could be commercially available within the next couple years.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, I'd agree.
that just blows my mind. And I don't know if anybody else saw like how it's implanted into the brain. Like just the technology used to get it in the brain is just so ridiculously high tech. It's like precisions, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, it's fair to be a little bit skeptical. I mean, I am too, and like being an advocate, like I love seeing all that stuff. It gets me so excited. But of course, it's like, yeah, there's gonna be drawbacks with this or some sort of issues with this that they're not gonna tell us. Of course, like they don't want to be like, they're not advertising their new product and they're gonna be like, yeah, well, it could do all these different things or fail in these ways. So,
Well, I don't know, man. He has, kind of advertised that it can store memories.
mhm.
Like
Yeah,
that's ridiculous to me. To be able
yeah,
to go and access your
it's
memories,
crazy.
upload it. I don't I don't know. Would you ever like want to have like your memories stored on a drive?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, if I'm thinking about like if I was fully confident in it in a few years and like I thought it was completely safe and I would consider it. I don't know if I want to commit to saying I would do it, but I would consider it even now. Like
Yeah.
down the line. I wouldn't want to be a pioneer and like jump on it right away. But
Yeah.
down the line, if it was reliable, I think I'd consider it,
I mean
honestly.
just thinking about the philosophical replicate or not replications, but repercussions that it would
Hmm.
have. You know, just to be able to store your memories and to go back and look at them, I really wonder how it would affect our rationale, because I mean there's such thing as false memories and having to
Yep.
go back and reinterpret a situation differently. What does that mean, like, for us psychologically as we move forward? And I just think those are important questions that we have to answer.
Yeah, definitely. And they were also mentioning like if you couldn't really remember the word, you kind of had the tip of the tongue effect. Even there was potential because of it being able to access your memories to help with that. And me, like I'm someone who stutters a lot, and
Hmm.
like I own up to that because it's just part of I can never find the word I'm trying to say. So for me, it's like it actually kind of could change your personality even a little bit because even if that's just a little quirky thing or whatever, if that completely gets eliminated, like that's a big change for just one little thing, but all the things that it can do or will be doing is might completely change the way you talk, the way you act, things like that. So
Yeah, Chandler said it would help Alzheimer's patients. It would also help me read chat better because you guys know I'm bad at that. I done mess up on chat all the time. So, I mean, I'll be stuttering on words. I'll be tripping up,
yeah.
reading it dyslexic. So, I mean, I'm all over the place. And yeah, that's an interesting point. The fact that it could alter your personality in a way
Hmm.
that, it could make someone who was typically more shy because they had
Yep.
some speech issues, could make them more extroverted.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it's just crazy to think. And he has theorized, Elon Musk has
Hmm.
theorized that, it could potentially, after iteration, and that it could advance to the point to where, you're synced up with internet. It's like,
Hmm.
well, how does access to all that information affect your personality?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the arguments against it that we were kind of talking about, my fiance and I, last night, were, yeah, you would probably lose the want to learn as much because you would just have quick or even immediate access to that information that you're looking for. So you wouldn't have to necessarily go out and learn all this stuff. You just think about it and then it's there. And we were kind of debating, like, are you actually learning it? Because sure, it's getting into your brain, but you're not really doing the same process that you normally do.
Yeah, that's
So it
interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Do you think it would make people more rational or irrational? Because there's a lot of, there's a lot of we're not going to get into the politics, but
No, no, it's okay.
there are, you know, two sides to each coin. So
Yeah, of course.
presented with all the information at hand, I mean, it's interesting to think if it would make people more rational about situations, or would people cling on to the emotional side?
Yeah, I mean that's a very good question. I don't really know what I would say to that. I would want to think it would make people more rational. That's what
Right.
I would want because you have the information there. So technically, they should understand it, learn it on the spot, whatever. And then you would think that would make them more rational. I'm not sure though, because if it's still like them making their own decision to think about that, they could still look for what they want. I mean, false information, right? And if they just like, oh, I want to find evidence for this specific argument or whatever, like theoretically they could do that too.
Right. And it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you have the facts like downloaded into your brain that
Hmm.
you understand it.
Yeah, that's true too. That's a good point.
So
So
yeah, I don't, I'm stuck on that. I'm stuck on, how it would affect people rationally,
yeah.
because I don't think that people should or can have the potential to know everything. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're uploaded to the internet where memes are, there's facts that support one argument, there's facts that support another argument, and then you're just having this constant internal battle of just
Hmm.
whatever just bombarding you or whatever you're trying to download. I don't know if having access to all that information is psychologically beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, I'd agree too. It's again, I think it takes away a lot of what makes us human. Honestly, is
Yeah.
kind of you don't have all the information, and you have to rationalize. Meaning, you have to think about how you want to come to your stance on an argument, or you know how to communicate like we're doing right now. How we're thinking about what it would do would be
Right.
totally different.
Well, I mean, I work in a psychological field with patients that suffer from schizophrenia, and so
Mhm.
I don't work there now, but I have in the past. And seeing those patients and
Mhm.
seeing how their thought process works, and seeing how they just grab a thought that just comes to their mind, or you know how distracted they are. It's almost like they're. Now, I'm not gonna try and get into the theoretical reason or anything like that, but
Yeah,
um it's almost as if they're like receiving these thoughts just from somewhere, and they're just like going on it on a whim. They're just
gotcha.
like taking these thoughts and just like grabbing them, and that's what comes to their mind. And so I feel like it would be somewhat like that in a sense.
No, I actually think there's a lot to that because that's kind of my point is like sure you're getting that information, but you're not really rationalizing
Right.
to get there. It's kind of just appearing like it's kind of like someone just told you the information and you took it right at that value. Just
Right.
like, yep, that's how it is. And you don't really have to think, which I mean does hurt us, right? Like critical thinking is important. I mean, for me, it's like it's something I try and get better at all the time because what I do is like, okay, we need this done, and you have to find a good way to do it. So I love critical thinking, and it kind of removes that component, or
Yeah.
at least reduces how much you'd be using it.
Do you think in a general sense people are losing their ability to critically think?
Yeah, as things get easier, yeah, I mean, as the internet exists and all, because I mean, I am right. So I love critical thinking, as I just said, but definitely there's times when I'm like, okay, this guy did it this way. I can basically use that method, maybe switch it up to meet what we're looking for. And I lose my ability. Like I didn't really come to that conclusion on my own.
Right.
So,
I mean, with the inclusion of the internet, it feels as though people have lost their ability. I mean, it's like we have the access to information, and we're just memorizing facts at this point. But
yeah.
we've kind of lost the ability to think critically. Oh, I don't want to say lost the ability. I feel like that's a
Yeah.
little bit more darker of a term. Um, but I think that people have relied on just the internet to get their facts rather than learning it or something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So I think that is definitely an important issue to cover, especially when we're talking about Neuralink and the potential of where it could go.
Yes.
What is the possibility? I mean, are people going to lose their ability to critically think? And man, these comments are going fast. So let's see. So my mom brings up a good point. She says, just like people can hijack computers, imagine a person hijacking an implant in the brain.
I've thought about that. That's a scary thought.
I mean, like, could someone potentially hack it?
I'd say yes, personally. I think so.
Dylan recalls the good old days, 2005. Yeah. All right, what were you about to say?
No, I was just gonna say, without even getting into like the specifics of it, I think the answer is yes. I think someone could hack it, which would be terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a computer, people can hack anything.
Yeah.
I'm sending phishing emails to your brain. He said, "Facts, mom." I just found out that Grindr isn't an app for upcoming hustlers. What? If there's a software, there'll be a hacker.
Yeah.
I mean,